underhand serve motion. Now you might think that's easy, just hit it below the waist, and you'd be mostly right. But as the game has developed over the years, so have the rules. In fact, in February of 2013, the USAPA updated the rules to provide greater clarity. And as many of you know, there's actually been quite a bit of lively discussion about this. Now, we're not going to cover every aspect of the serve, so we encourage you to read the rules for yourself, which you can find on the USAPA website. So, let's break it down now using some clear motion graphics in order to make it easier to visualize. The serve must be made with an underhand stroke. This first one's pretty easy. When serving, use an underhand stroke. That means the paddle head must be moving in an upward motion of at least 1 degree or more. 0 degrees or a downward motion is not a legal serve. The second element is that contact with the ball must be made below the waist. This is the one that gets a little tricky. There had been some confusion about what exactly constitutes the waist. Now, it doesn't matter how you wear your clothes, the waist is defined as navel level, and the point where the ball hits the paddle must be below the waist. The last element is the position of the paddle head must be lower than the wrist. This one can be the deal breaker. When the paddle head strikes the ball, the highest part of the paddle head must be below where the wrist joint bends. To clarify, the paddle head does not include the handle. Now, all three elements must be satisfied in order for the serve to be legal. Upward motion, contact of the ball below the waist with the paddle head below the wrist joint. So that's your Pickleball 411 for today. Thank you so much to the many
The situation is my student has just served and I'm playing the return back. If she receives a short ball, she's going to go forward, and because I, as her opponent at the net, am vulnerable, she's going to drive it at me, okay? And if, however, I play a deep ball on my return that keeps her back, she is going to make a different decision. She's not going to drive it, she's going to play a third shot drop into the kitchen. So take a look, you'll see the markers are sort of the indicator. If she goes past the marker, she's going to say and drive the ball. And if I keep her behind the markers, she's going to play a drop. I'll be back in a sec. So there you go, that's one way to train decision-making skills, right? It's important you have markers, it's important you have criteria. In that case, if you go past the markers, you're gonna drive. If you stay behind the markers, you're gonna drop. And as a coach, it's really important that you get your students to use their voice, to call out the key word, drive or drop in this case. It does two things when you ask them to call it out. One is to make sure that they're focused, not on the outcome of the shot, but on the decision that they're making, okay? That's what you're training. The second reason it's important they use their voice is that it tells you as the coach when they're making their decision. Good decisions are not just about being correct, they're also about being quick. And only when your student tells you drive or drop.
In this segment, we're going to talk about volleying. And volleying is a big part of this game. There's a number of variations that you can do in a number of situations where you have to volley, and being a good volleyer is imperative for this game. Same characteristics as the dink or as the softball. You don't up and come down. So again, when you're in the ready position and the ball comes, what you want to do is, we talked about the door. You want to continue to go through the door. In other words, your racket goes through the door and to the ball. Now, in tennis, what you're going to see is there's a crossover step in it. If you can get the crossover step and that feels comfortable to you, that's up to you whether you want to hit it. That's the way I like to hit it. It's more comfortable for me. I'm not saying that's how you have to hit it, and I'm not saying that you can be better one way or another. But again, being able to dink or being able to hit the volley nice and solid, same continental grip, and push it back. Now, that volley is real important. You can actually hit softer volleys, you can get harder volleys from that. The other volley that I'm going to show you is a topspin volley that a lot of people hit, and believe it or not, the topspin volley is probably as easy as any volley. And the reason being is you're taking a ball that in a lot of situations is below the net, and you're lifting it and rolling it, meaning that you're not having to hit it hard, but you're rolling it, so you're getting depth, but it's also coming down. You gotta be real careful. That volley has a purpose, but when you start getting folks that crash the net real hard, you start rolling that ball, you'll end up beating it if you're not careful. But again, has a place in the game, so you'll see both volleys. So Matt, if you would, what I want to do is hit a forehand volley, and then a backhand volley, a forehand volley, then a backhand volley. So again, I'm staying down. Staying down. Again, here, backhand, sorry, forehand, there. That's again, I'm here, okay, again. Okay, that's my forehand volley. So here it is. Now backhand volley. Okay, so those are the forehand and backhand volley. Have a little underspin on them. What I was taught certainly in tennis is separate your hands on the backhand volley. It makes it a little bit easier. But I noticed that continental grip with each one, my racket face is what I call open. That would be closed. It's open, meaning that I can get a little backspin and I can hit it up. And the same on the forehand volley with that continental. My racket face is open, not closed. It's open, and I can lift the ball. The next volley that I want to show you is the roll volley. So again, hit me forehand no matter. So again, I'm releasing and I'm rolling the ball a little bit lower. Again. So again, I'm getting below it and I'm rolling the ball. I'm rolling off the backhand side. That's the one that's way low, and I'm going to roll it again. Okay, so two volleys. One's maybe a little underspin, and it's only about 3 or 4 inches, 4 inches long. You're going through the door, nice solid, almost like you're hitting it with a hammer. Nice solid stroke, both sides. The other one is the top spin volley, and again, advanced players, you're going to use this volley quite a bit, and all it is just basically you're just keeping the racket face closed, meaning this way and lifting. So you're going to close the racket face and lift, creating a little roll, which is going to make a little depth. We're going to talk about how to defense the situation where people start going inside out on you. We had a whole section of training that talked about how people can hit misdirection shots. We talked about how those misdirections can be either at net level, be hit hard at a person, or how they can actually be hit up. We talked about up in the facial area or up in the shoulder area, each trying to accomplish something different. So we talked about 2 ways that a person can misdirect the ball. Now we're going to talk about the way that you defense that misdirection. Basically what you're going to do is you kind of get a feel for it. The more settings that you're in, you kind of get a feel of when it's going to occur. I'll just say this, the typical section or the typical time that occurs is on a cross-court ball. So for example, if I'm at the net and my partner's hitting a cross-court ball, especially a ball that they're back on a little bit further, they've got to create a little bit of height to get it over the net, it's coming down, that person has the ability to roll it on me. That's the ball that you get rolled on. So in other words, a lot of people want to stand up here in the line. That ball will go cross court. The closer you get up here on the line, that ball misdirected at you, you have no time to react. What you want to do is, I'm going to use Matt to show you, what you want to do is, once that ball starts going cross court, starts getting up a little bit, you understand it's going to get up, or you have a person that likes to misdirect the ball, you have to be able to understand that it's going to occur, and you have to take a couple steps back. So here's what it looks like. I would actually hit my cross-court shot, it would be misdirected at Matt. Matt would see that that's going to occur, he knowing that that person's going to misdirect the ball, or probably misdirect it, he would take a couple steps back. Now, Real important to notice what he did when he took a couple steps back. He took the steps back prior to contact, meaning that if you're stepping back at contact, you're not going to have weight forward, and your hands are not going to be supple. You're not going to be soft enough to be able to do anything with the ball. You want to look at that ball before that person hits it, take those steps back, and then get yourself back in what we call the basketball stance. Your weight over top of your toes, rack it out in front so you can react, and then when that misdirection ball's hit at you, you can react by either hitting it back or taking pace off of it, or a number of variations. So just to show you again, Matt, at this point, I've actually hit a cross-court ball. Maybe he's realizing his little luck. He's already back another step. His weight is forward. It's over top of his nose. He's in a basketball stance. He's ready for any kind of a hard ball hit inside out. Again, what you do with that ball once it's hit to you, that's your choice. There's a couple options like we spoke about. You can actually take the ball, try to drive it back, or you can take your hands and soften the ball, deaden the ball, trying to get it back over the net, and then after you get it back into play or resetting the point like we talked about before, then he's going to move back up again, get into the offensive position.